Hello, welcome to this video. Question 1. Given a system of equations and we need to use row operations to write it in row echelon form. So that essentially means that we need to make these disappear. That'll give us our desired row echelon form, which contains only those diagonal elements. So I'm going to start by writing my system of equations. It's a bit thick. Okay, so in order to make this into a 0, I am going to multiply the second row by -2. Then I'm going to add the first two rows and replace the second row with that sum because I want that second row to contain that 0, right? So I'm going to replace the second row. Just leave it empty. Let me just combine some steps, save some time. I know I want this to become a 0, so I'm also going to multiply the third row by -2 here. Next, to get rid of that -2x, I'm going to add the first and third rows together. Okay, how am I going to get this 2y to be eliminated? Well, I want to combine the third row with the second row here because that will help me to get rid of it. Note that if I had combined the third row with the first row instead, I may have been able to end up with a 0 here, but that would have also introduced a term here, which I don't want because I already worked hard to get rid of that. So I'm going to combine with the second row and third row because that's going to keep these empty. So to do that, I'm going to multiply the third row by -4. Okay, to finally get it into row echelon form, remember that everything needs to be, or all of these must have coefficient 1. So I'm going to divide the first row by 2, divide the second row by 8, and the third row by -5. So I'm going to get this as my answer. Okay. Now I'm going to solve for x, y, and z with back substitution. That's part B. So if z equals 3, I'm just going to get rid of this box. If z equals 3, then that means y equals negative 3/8 minus 7 times 3, which is 21/8. And that's just negative 24 over 8, which is negative 3. That means x is going to be equal to half minus 2y minus half z, sorry, which is negative 3/2, right? And that is going to be equal to 5. So my answer is 5, negative 3, 3. Let me check to make sure that that's correct. Okay, looks good to me. Let's do question 2. So remember the order. I want to get rid of this first, and then this, and then this. I'm going to multiply this first one by negative 1. Sorry, the second equation by negative 1. That'll give me this. And combine the first and second. To get rid of this 5x, I'm going to multiply the first one by negative 5, which will give me this. Let's go to the second row. I'm also going to divide the second equation by negative 3. Then add the first and third equations. Let me convert the first equation back to what it was previously. Okay, I'm going to add the first and third here. Okay. Now, to combine the second and third equations, I want to get rid of that negative 3y, right? I'm going to divide this by positive 3, and that'll give me a negative y here. Okay, then adding second and third. Okay, and then last step to get it into row echelon form, I simply need to divide the third equation by -2. Okay, so that's row echelon form, and then after I do back substitution, I get from z equals 0, I get y equals 1, which means that x equals 3. So my answer is 3, 1, 0. Is that correct? It is correct. All right, question 3. Is that the same thing? No, very similar. Okay, I want to get rid of this x here, so I'm going to multiply this by -1. Remember, multiplying by -1 is always easier than subtracting. You'll make less mistakes. And we're going to add these two. I should have used blue for that multiplication, huh? Okay, next I'm going to multiply this top one by -2 to cancel with that 2x on the bottom there. Let me also divide this by 2 here. The 2y equals 4. That's easy. Y equals 2. Then I'm going to add the first and third together. Let's revert the first one. All right, here I'm adding the first and third, so that's -2y plus y. -10 plus 2. Okay, final step, adding the second and third. I will get rid of the -y there. Keep it red. Okay, and the final step for row echelon form, I need to divide the third equation by -3. Okay, so after some back substitution, I already have z and y, so this is easy. That gives me x equals 1. Check my answer. Okay, looks good to me. Okay, I want to get rid of that x here, so I'm going to multiply the second one by -2x. Sorry, -2. Let me see if that's right. Add the first two equations. Then to get rid of that x on the bottom left, I'm going to multiply the bottom by -2. Okay, to get rid of that -y, I'm going to multiply this by 5. All right, I want to cancel with the second equation, not the first one. Did I make a mistake? I feel like I made a mistake somewhere. Oh yes, it's a -15. That took me a while to find, didn't it?
Hi, Mr. Nye.
You're on YouTube right now?
Doing what?
I'm recording. I mean, it's fine. You can be here, but actually it's a +15. Where's the mistake? -y plus 3z equals 1. 5y plus 15z equals 5. Pretty sure this is wrong. Where's the mistake? There's no mistake. I just didn't realize there would be fractions in the questions that I gave. So, oops. Just keep going. Gonna add the second and third equations. I thought I had checked all these questions to make sure that there were no fractions, but I must have mistyped something. It's probably a typo somewhere in those equations. But we'll solve the equations as they're given. On the quiz, there aren't fractions, though, so if you see any fractions, you probably went wrong somewhere. Look at 18z equals 12. And so the final step for row echelon form is to get 1s as those coefficients, the leading coefficients. So that'll be this. All right, so that's row echelon form. To do back substitution, I simply plug in z, then find y. It's going to give me y equals 1. So that means x plus 1/2 plus 1/3 is equal to 3/2, which means x is 2/3. So the answer okay, remember, I want to get rid of this x first, and then 2x, and then negative y. I'm going to multiply this one by -1, which will give me a negative x here to cancel with the x on top. I'm going to add the first two equations, make that negative x turn into a 0. Okay, how do I get rid of that 2x on the bottom left? I could multiply the top by -2. Let's change this into a positive y, so we're going to multiply the second equation by -1. Okay, so remember, the next step is to get rid of this 2x. Let's revert the first equation back because we don't need it to be multiplied by -2 anymore. And the third equation, let's replace it with the sum of the first and third. And we're going to add the second and third equations. Well, that's going to give us 0 equals 2. So we have no solution. Let me check with the computer. Don't really trust myself today. Yeah, I think I'm right. Okay. Question 6. Okay, now we're on augmented matrices. So we're really just doing the same thing as before, except now we are using matrices. And also we don't use back substitution anymore. We have to use Gauss-Jordan elimination, which is somewhat unpleasant, isn't it? But it is what the question asks for. And we would not want to disobey our teacher. So let's first write it as an augmented matrix. we just take the coefficients and also the things on the right side separated by line, right? It's our augmented matrix. And the process for row echelon form is exactly the same. We wanted to make this a 0 first, and then this, and then this. Let's first multiply the top by -3 to cancel with that +3 there. So after adding these two and changing the first one back, we are going to be left with a 0 here, 1, 7, 11. Okay, then multiply the top by -2 to cancel with that +2 down there. And we're going to add those two, change the top back to what it was previously. And then the sum, I'm going to replace here because I want that 0. That's my sum. Okay. How do I get this to be row echelon form? I still need to get rid of that 2 on the bottom. So I'm going to multiply this by -2. And add these two. Convert it back here. And that sum is going to be 0, 0, -7, -14. And then finally, to convert it to row echelon form, I have to divide the very bottom row by -7. So that's my answer for row echelon form. Okay, now I have to do Gauss-Jordan elimination to get rid of everything else other than those ones. So I have to get rid of this -3, this 7, and then this, well, that's already a 0, but if there were something there, I would have to make that a 0 as well. So I'm going to follow this order. I'm going to cancel out this 7 with the bottom row, cancel out this -3 with the bottom row, and then cancel out this, well, I don't have to do that there for this problem, but if there were a number there, then I would cancel that out with the second row after the 7 has been evacuated. Okay, so let's start with, do it down here maybe. Let's write it, let me rewrite it real quick. So how do I get rid of that 7 with the bottom row? I'm going to multiply the bottom row by -7. Okay. Then add the second and third rows. And then I'm going to replace the second row this time. The reason is because that's the row where I want the 0 to be, right? I'm canceling out the second and third rows because I want this 7 to become a 0. And that's why I made the bottom row -7. So I'm going to be replacing the second row with the sum of the second and third rows, okay? The idea is that I want to replace the row where I want the 0 to be. And convert the bottom row back to what it was previously, 0, 0, 1, 2. Okay, now I want to get rid of this -3 here. How do I do that? By multiplying the bottom by 3. I'm going to add the first and third. That leaves me with and converting the bottom back to what it was previously. And that's reduced row echelon form. So that tells me that XYZ is 4, -3, 2. Let me check my answer. Okay, I believe it. Let's go on to the next one. Oh, bigger numbers. Let's first write it as an augmented matrix. Okay, I want to get rid of this 2 first, right? So I'm going to multiply the top by +2. Then add the first and second. Convert the first back to what it was previously. Okay, to get rid of that 3 on the bottom, I'm going to multiply the top by +3, which yields add the first and third. Convert the top back. Add the first and third. -42 plus 19. Huh. That's -23. Hopefully. That doesn't even seem right. I think it's right. Okay. Okay, how do I get rid of that 5? I'm going to multiply the second row by -5. Add the second and third rows. convert the second row back. Okay, and then the final step for row echelon form, get those diagonal elements to be ones. Okay, so that's done for row echelon form. Next is to get to reduced row echelon form. I'm going to go in this order, get rid of the -1 with the third row, get rid of the 1 with the third row, and get rid of the -1 with the second row. How do I get rid of this -1? I'm going to add the second and third together. Very good. Okay, now I want to get rid of that 1 on the top right. So I'm going to multiply the bottom by -1. Okay, then add the first and third. Convert the bottom back. Okay, next step is to get rid of this -1 here. I do that just by adding with the second row. Notice how it's very important to do it in that order, because now that I've gotten rid of this is empty, so that now it won't affect this number, which is also 0. So that is going to be 1, 0, 0, 7, 0, 1, 0, -3, 0, 0, 1, 4. Okay, so that's my answer for reduced row echelon form, which means that my solution is 7, -3, 4. Is that correct? Yes, it is correct. Next one. Okay, how do I get rid of that 1 on the left? I'm going to multiply it by -2. And add first and second. $58, such a big number. Let me save a step. Multiply the bottom by 2. Because I want this to cancel with the top, right? Okay, next going to add the first and third. All right. How do I get rid of that 4? Ow. Ow, my back. Okay. Okay, I'm going to get rid of that 4 by multiplying the bottom by -2. That'll give me a -8 there to cancel with the second row. Then add the second and third rows. Yields 0, 0, -1, -2. Okay, final step, get to reduced row echelon form. Have to divide to get those 1s. Wow, that's annoying. 58 divided by 8 is 29/4. So that is row echelon form. Okay, now for reduced row echelon form. To get reduced row echelon form, I'm actually going to start working off of this so that I don't have to deal with fractions. That's a little trick that I'm using here. So to get rid of this -3, I'm going to multiply the bottom by -3. Okay, then add the second and third together. Replace the second row with that sum. Convert it back. Not convert it back, but just divide by 3 maybe to get that 1 there. Okay. Now I want to get rid of this -1, so I'm going to add the first and third. That'll cancel nicely. Let me also divide this by 8 here, the second row. Should write all these steps, shouldn't I? Okay, how do I get rid of that 2 on the top? I'm going to multiply the second row by -2. Add them. It leaves me with okay, and then final step, divide the top by 2. So my answer is -6, 8, 2. Is that correct? That's correct. Okay. Let's write it as an augmented matrix. A lot of zeros here. I like that. Okay, how do I get rid of that 7? It's a little tricky. I'm going to multiply the top by, let's say negative 7. Maybe we'll do 7, positive 7. And then the bottom by negative 2. That'll give me a 14 and negative 14, which can cancel nicely. What is 24 times 7? 168. And the bottom becomes okay, then adding first and third while also converting the first one back. Will give me 168 minus 12 is 156. Okay, how do I get rid of that 3? I'm going to multiply this by 3, this by negative 2. $156 times 2. Who came up with this question? All right, now let's add those together. Revert it back here. And the sum of the second and third, negative 270. Okay, final step for row echelon form. Get everything to be 1 on the left side. Sorry, on the diagonals. Uh, 45 times 6 is 270. So that comes out to 16. Okay, so that's row echelon form. And then now I want to convert it to reduced row echelon form. So first, I don't like fractions, so I'm going to get rid of those. Multiply this by 2, multiply that by 2. All right. So I'm going to first get rid of this, then that. Let's add those two to get rid of that negative 1. Okay. Let's multiply the bottom by negative 3 to get rid of that 3 on the top right. And probably also divide the second row by 2, right? Save us a step later. Okay, and add those first and third rows. And convert the third row back. Okay, now to get rid of that -1 there, all I do is just add the first two rows and replace the first row with the sum. I'm left with 2, 0, 0, 16, 0, 1, 0, 10, 0, 0, 1, 6. So the final step is just divide the top by 2. So the answer is 8, 10, 6. Is that correct? It is correct. Good. Oh, good news. Last one. Bad news. Oh my gosh. Who wrote this? It is a system of 4 equations with 4 variables. Wow. I thought it would be fun to include it, but I didn't realize that I would be the one solving it. I was thinking it would be fun to watch you guys solve it. Well, you reap what you sow. Okay. Let's try to do this in less than 10 minutes. Won't be on the quiz, by the way. Only 3 equations on the quiz. Okay, now this takes a really long time, twice as long, because to get row echelon form, we have to get rid of all 6 of these numbers. And then for reduced row echelon form, we have to get rid of these 6 numbers too. So it's definitely a labor in love. Start with the 1 here, all right? Save myself a step by multiplying the top by -3 here. Add first and third. Convert it back. Add first and third. Now let's also multiply the bottom by 2 to cancel with that 2 on the top left. Finally, let's add the first and second. I'm also, to save me a step, going to multiply the second row by 5 and the third row by -4. bottom row is the addition of the first and fourth. 0, 12, 5, negative 3, 0. Let's add these. Then I'm also going to, I'll just save it, do that in the next step. Let me just revert briefly here. And replace the third row with the sum here. Oh, 43. It's a disgusting number. I need to get rid of this 12 now. So I'll multiply this by 3. Okay, I'm not really showing that much work anymore. Kind of doubt anybody's following this. If you're still watching, you get an A+ in this class. Oh no, is that really 43? Gosh. It doesn't seem right at all. Oh, I can't even do that in my head. 688. Seems wrong. It's correct, I think. It doesn't seem correct at all. 24 times 43. What is that? That's correct. that right? 142? 142, yeah. Then 568. Wow, it does simplify. Oh my gosh. This is horrifying to me. Hello.
A bunch of, look like matrices things on the podium in my room.
Okay. I think it's for my next few classes.
Okay, I
Yeah.
was making sure you knew, I was like, oh, lots of matrices, this must be yours, because I just did this in pre-calc. So.
Okay, yeah, great.
Okay.
On the podium.
They're on the podium on the right side.
Okay,
of the podium.
got it.
So.
Got it. I'll see them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. That was Mr. Nyberg. Okay, so that's row echelon form. Now reduced row echelon form. I'm going to be working with this instead of row echelon form, so just to avoid those fractions there. Okay. Unfortunately, that does mean I have to work with some big numbers here. So to get rid of this 25 first. Wait, no. I don't want to be working with that. I want to be working with this. Not the 142. Change that to 1 and 4. That's much better. Great. It really does simplify. Let's do a subtraction here. Use red. Get rid of the 43. And add here. Now this whole row is zeros except that one there. So I can pretty much change this row to whatever I want, and it doesn't affect anything, because I can essentially subtract any multiple of the third row there. So I'm just going to make those zeros. How do I get a blank page there? There we go. Change that to 1, 1. Change this to 1, 1, -1. Final answer. Let me write this neater. I worked so hard for it. That took about 20 minutes, huh? It's horrible. -2104. Is that correct? It is correct. Wow. That's good. At least I didn't make any mistakes. But that concludes this video. Good luck on the quiz, and goodbye.